Well, everyone, I finally got my hands on the Nothing Phone 1, so let's go and compare it and see how it holds up against the iPhone 13. Now, if you want to buy either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, there definitely are some differences. The Nothing Phone 1 is a much bigger phone than the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 on the front has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel, and it's a pretty good looking panel for the most part. It's not 120 Hz or anything, but from my experience, it's still a pretty good looking display. Would it be the first one I would recommend? I mean, no, I think the 13 Pro has a much better display, but the iPhone 13's display is still fairly good for the most part. You do have a notch, so keep that in mind. And the Nothing Phone 1, on the other hand, we actually have a bigger 6.55-inch OLED display on this phone, and this is a pretty good looking panel. I will say, for the most part, it's not necessarily like the best looking panel, at least compared to the iPhone 13, but it does have a 120 Hz display, which is really nice. iOS is always notoriously very smooth, but I do like how the Nothing Phone, for it being kind of it's supposed to be a budget phone, I spent like over $600 to get it into this country. I think it's definitely a good looking panel, and you don't have a notch on this thing either, which is really nice. In terms of thickness and thickness, you can see both have flat sides, so it's very interesting that even though the Nothing Phone is a little bit cheaper than the iPhone 13, you kind of have the same structure, which is really cool. The phone can pretty much sit inside of the phone on the Nothing Phone, as you can see. Pretty much the same type of build quality. I don't really think one feels way more premium or way cheaper than the other one. On the back, we do have glass backs on both. You can see how both of the setups are very similar, although the cameras on the top or bottom on the iPhone, on the Nothing Phone, they're diagonal on the iPhone 13. We do have the LED lights on the back of the Nothing Phone 1, which look very good. You have wireless charging on both. You have reverse wireless charging apparently on the Nothing Phone 1, which is really, really cool. And in terms of that, that kind of covers up everything on the outside. I will also add that I don't know why the Nothing Phone's glass feels a little different. Maybe it's because it's see-through or something, but I feel like the iPhone 13 build quality feels better, but they are both so identical in terms of the way they feel and everything that I just can't tell. I don't know what it is about this back. It feels a little bit different, but it's totally okay. Now, in terms of the actual, fluidity and in terms of software longevity in the future, I feel like the iPhone 13 is probably going to outlast the Nothing Phone. From everything that I've heard about iPhones, from me using iPhones for 30,000 years, they've been pretty good. Apple's been doing some weird changes here and there, but iPhones are predictable. We've seen iPhones, we've seen the past, we kind of know what to expect. With the Nothing Phone 1, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that this phone is going to last like 4 years of software updates, something like that, but it's tough to tell from a company that just came out. So OnePlus was pretty good at the founder of this company, was a OnePlus founder, something like that, and we will just wait and see. I will probably say this thing's going to get at least 2 years of updates. I could see them, if they don't sell a lot, then maybe they won't make any more. We've seen other phones promise similar things like the Essential phones and other things we've had in the past, and they've came and they've went. So with this one, they can promise everything. We'll see what happens when it officially comes out. But I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Once the Nothing Phone 2 and once the Nothing Phone 3 comes out, then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. But as of right now, it's probably going to get a few updates. So that's probably the best way I can go ahead and explain that. Now let's go and do a speed test between both these phones. So the Nothing Phone 1 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G Plus chipset inside of it with 8 GB of RAM on the base model, and it does go up to 12 GB of RAM. Where the iPhone 13, on the other hand, has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both of these. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, as you guys can tell. iPhone 13 is here, Nothing Phone is here. So let's get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, definitely the iPhone 13 was faster. Let's go and get into their app stores. 3, 2, 1. I've always said this, Androids are notorious of just speeding up like crazy on their Play stores. Scrolling through, I definitely would say the Nothing Phone 1 seems like the faster phone, but I still feel like iPhones are very smooth. Not as glitchy on this phone, at least from at least what I can see for the first part. Let's do camera. 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone 13 was faster. Let's go and take a photo. Okay, now let's go and get into the photo. Almost the same thing. Now let's go and click on the edit button. 3, 2, 1. Kind of the same thing too. So for the most part, fairly good between both. The Nothing Phone 1 is keeping up very, very well. Now we do have some of these third-party applications we can go and open. Nothing crazy, but just a few different ones. Let's go and do Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. I think I'm logged in here, so maybe a little bit different, but regardless. Okay, there we go. Hopping out of here. Let's go and do Instagram. I am logged in here, so we'll just skip that one. Facebook. 3, 2, 1. I think I'm also logged in here. Make sure you guys follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page now. Okay, let's go and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Actually, the Nothing Phone 1 was faster there. Very, very surprising. I was not expecting that at all. For a phone that is supposed to be cheaper than the iPhone 13, it's actually very interesting. We kind of even saw that. So, very, very interesting stuff. Usually, like, I don't know why that happened, but totally okay. I'm totally fine with that. Gameplay wise, I'm pretty sure they're going to be roughly around the same thing. Hopping out of here, we have the original Temple Run 321. And again, the Nothing Phone 1 was faster, at least to load into that initial panel. Here we have a little bit of a different layout. But that was very weird. I don't know if it's a Temple Run thing or what's going on. Dropbox 321. iPhone 13 was faster. Let's go on up out of here. Quizlet 321. iPhone 13 was faster there as well. So I don't know really what's going on, to be honest. Stack 321. It seems like there are times where the iPhone 13 is faster. I would say more times than not, the iPhone 13 is probably the faster one. But the Nothing Phone 1 has done a great job. And sometimes there were ads and stuff that kind of, got in the middle of it. But I don't know if there's one that I would say is the consistent faster one. I don't know why in the Temple Run games, the iPhone 13 was slower than the Nothing Phone 1. That made pretty much no sense to me. But I think when it comes down to it, when I look at both these phones, very, very good performing phones from both. I would probably say the iPhone 13 is probably the RAM right there wasn't good on the Nothing Phone 1. I'd probably say the iPhone 13 is the faster one, but the Nothing Phone 1 is the smoother one sometimes because of the 120 hertz display. It honestly looks like a really good display because of that. So that kind of covers it up there. In terms of thinness and in terms of the cameras, like I said before, we have that dual camera setup on both. So we have a wide and an ultra wide sensor, which is really nice. Now, the big thing to keep in mind is on the Nothing Phone 1, for some reason, we can only do 4K at 30. We cannot do 4K at 60. On the iPhone 13, we can do 4K at 60 on the back and 4K at 60 on the front, which is just so nice to film in those resolutions if you want to take that opportunity. Now with the iPhone 13 is a little bit of an older phone, so we're going to be getting the successor very, very soon. And in my opinion, the iPhone 13 series was a tremendous phone. I had a great time with this device, and it's sad that this one is going to be, outdated very soon by Apple. Not, it's still going to be getting software updates and everything, but the camera on this thing was very good. You have a lot of features built into this camera. You have video mode, portrait mode, panoramic mode. But compared to other Android phones like Samsung, this one doesn't have as many features, but this thing still has a lot of features built in compared to the Nothing Phone 1. So in terms of this camera, it's definitely a better camera in my opinion. It has a very solid sensor, and having that 4K 60 on the front is a really, really nice touch. Now in the Nothing Phone 1, this is also a very good sensor for the most part, but it's just very weird how it's missing out on a few different things. So for one, like I said before, it is kind of missing out on that 4K at 60 on the fronts. I feel like they could have done it. I don't know why they didn't, but this is still a very decent sensor. It's actually not bad for the price tag. But I will say also, like when you go into more, there's not that many more options. I mean, compared to, it's like the Google Pixels, they don't have too many crazy features built into the camera, but Samsung's have insane amount of features built in. So I kind of wish, Nothing probably put a little bit more emphasis on their camera department, but even if you look at OnePlus's, their cameras were never really the best. So it's kind of expected, to be honest. So that kind of brings us to the end of this video. And to be honest, when I look at both these phones, I don't really see the appeal. I wouldn't go from an iPhone 13 to a Nothing Phone 1, but if you're in a market that you can find a Nothing Phone 1 for very, very cheap, then I would highly recommend going for it. I think it's a great phone. I just don't know if it's the first one I'd recommend it, but I would honestly recommend a Google Pixel 6 over this thing as well. Until we see the Nothing Phone 2, until we find those types of devices, people are already going to buy this phone. I want to know what the company behind this is going to do and if they're going to keep supporting their phones for a long period of time. With Apple and with iPhones, not only just with iPhones, but with like Google with the Pixels, with Samsung with their phones, we've seen it time and time again what they're able to do, and they have a long-term vision. I'm wondering what they're going to be doing at the Nothing company. Hopefully they have a long-term vision there. Hopefully they don't just make phones and just sell the company to some other company. But I hope, I think the iPhone 13 is probably the better one I would recommend. But there are still some features with the Nothing Phone 1, like the 120 hertz display and with the whole bunch display and reverse wireless charging. That's actually really cool for a phone at this, price tag. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.